New statewide restrictions announced by Governor Cuomo today after COVID numbers in New York have been spiking. Starting Friday, all bars and restaurants have to shut down at 10 o'clock. Gyms also have to close at 10, and private gatherings capped at 10 people. News 4's Ida Siegel is in the Inwood area with reaction about what could happen next here, Ida.
Oh, Adam, you know, the bars and restaurants have been working really hard to get innovative just so that they can stay afloat here. Today's news is yet another hit for them. Closing at 10 might not seem like a big deal, but it's 2 hours of lost revenue. And at this rate, owners say that could make all the difference as the temperatures drop. On a rainy day like today, indoor dining is a lifeline for restaurant owner Sandra Vasquez at Il Soleil. Learning that she will now have to shut her doors at 10 p.m. every night, she says she is truly worried.
This past week has been pretty good because of the weather, but being that the weather now is going back to normal, back to the 50s and 40s, you know, this is actually obsolete because
takeout and delivery. The governor announced the new rules as the state infection rate is up to 2.9%. Cuomo says contact tracing has led them to 3 major spreaders.
Bars, restaurants, gyms, house parties. That's where it's coming from, primarily. And those are the ones that we can address.
Gyms will also close at 10 p.m. and house gatherings are limited to 10 people, just like in our neighboring states.
So the states around us have done this. We're going to do it also because, again, symmetry. I don't want people in Connecticut saying, well, we can't meet at my house, so we'll go meet at your house in New York.
It's unclear when the restrictions might loosen. Sandra is worried she might not be around by then.
Right now, I'm at a verge that I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. Am I going to survive? You know, the way that things are looking, I don't think I am.
Take more drastic measures like reducing the already low capacity of indoor dining. Right now, statewide, it's at 50%. In New York City, it's at 25%. It could go even lower. Reporting live from Inwood, Ida Siegel, News 4 New York.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that, Ida. Thank you. In Suffolk County, the Department of Health is warning everyone who ate at 2 restaurants they may have been exposed to COVID-19. News 4's Greg Sergel talked with the frustrated owners of one of the restaurants. He joins us now from Oakdale. What's their issue here, Greg?
Well, Adam, we know right now of at least 8 positive COVID cases at those 2 Oakdale restaurants. One of them is behind me right here. The owner of Menino's couldn't be reached for comment today, but the owner of the other restaurant named by the health department had a lot to say about his establishment being singled out.
Thank you. The McGuire family was still enjoying lunch today at the Village Idiot Irish Pub, undeterred by a health alert that customers at this Oakdale restaurant may have been exposed to COVID just days ago.
Not going to stop us from going out to eat, you know, but we followed the precautions. We did the right thing when we came in. We had our masks on.
Precautions aside, Suffolk's health department says anyone who ate here between October 31st and November 2nd should be tested for COVID. The same warning was issued to customers who visited Menino's in Oakdale between October 29th and November 4th.
What proof did they have that they tested positive at my place?
The Irish Pub's owners were frustrated and angry today. They confirmed that 3 employees and 5 customers have tested positive for COVID, but say the Suffolk Health Department didn't notify the restaurant until more than a week later.
No one knows, the left-handers know what the right hand's doing, and brought out and being made an example of when you want to tell me that this doesn't happen at Walmart?
John Sarno insists that his restaurant has been in total compliance with all COVID protocols. And during our visit, we did see mask and social distancing signs as well as plexiglass walls between tables. But this neighbor says he's avoided the restaurant because of big crowds there.
Every time I come by, it's the parking lot is packed. And it seems like there's a lot more people in there that should be.
They're not crowding people in here. It's not, I don't feel, you know, at risk at all here.
Again, the health department urging anyone who ate at the restaurants to monitor themselves for COVID symptoms and get tested. Ironically, the warning coming as Governor Cuomo ordered restaurants to shut down early later this week. The owner of the Irish Pub telling me just not a good time for more questions and more provisions on already struggling restaurants. We're live in Oakdale. Greg Sergel, News 4 New York.
Yeah, it's tough out there. Got a feel for him. Greg, thank you. And there's already a curfew in effect in Newark, and starting tomorrow, new restrictions for all of New Jersey as the governor tries to stem the spread of COVID-19 there. Bar seating will be banned, indoor dining stopped from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., and indoor youth sports that travel out of state, no more. But in Newark, with numbers growing faster than just about anywhere else in the state, the newest rules are even tougher. News 4's Brian Thompson's in Newark now with more on that, Brian.
Yeah, and where I am, just off Ferry Street, about 3 restaurants at this corner, bars. They only wish they could stay open until 10 o'clock like the ones in Oakdale. But starting tomorrow night, shutdown time for restaurants and bars in this zip code, the Ironbound of Newark, and 2 other zip codes will be 8 o'clock. And by 9 o'clock, everybody has to be off the street.
I understand what he's trying to do, but I don't think restaurants are the problem.
Manny Ribello's Ironbound restaurant is taking in just 20% of business pre-COVID. A popular watering hole that goes back nearly half a century in his family. Bellows has been staying afloat since reopening, but now facing an 8 p.m. closing time.
At 11 o'clock curfew, we're surviving. With an 8 o'clock curfew, we are taking on a lot of water.
Newark's Ironbound has an international flavor, reflecting its mostly Portuguese and Brazilian population. Mayor Baraka's 8 p.m. restaurant closing time and 9 p.m. curfew to be on the streets in this neighborhood will put a hurt on its nightlife.
In Ironbound, there's all the bars are my favorite bars because I and my friends are usually going to different bars every time.
But you're willing to follow the rules?
No, but yes.
But even as testing continues in Newark and elsewhere, showing how entrenched the virus is, especially in New Jersey's largest city with growing positive numbers day after day, there is a certain resignation among many in accepting this new crackdown.
Unfortunately, there has to be a curfew. We have to contain what's happening. If not, this can be prolonged to longer.
Through it all, there are acts of kindness. Uber Eats driver and retired nurse Joseph Grillo showing me his stash of PPE that he will hand out to people in need as he drives through this city.
I'll hand them out to people who don't have them and should have them.
Just because of your medical knowledge as a former nurse.
Right, and Newark is a hotbed.
Mayor Baraka will hold a news conference tomorrow to go into detail about how his crackdown will be tougher than the rest of New Jersey, than New York, than Connecticut. But at the same time, one law enforcement source is telling us that they will start with warnings. The question is, how quickly will they start writing tickets after they put out those first few warnings? Live in Newark, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that, Brian. Thank you. The New York Knicks shut down their practice facility after 3 employees tested positive for COVID-19. The Knicks say all 3 employees are asymptomatic, and the results were discovered during routine screenings. And this comes less than a month before players are scheduled to return for training camp. The NBA season is set to begin December 22nd. And the pandemic continues to take its toll on college football. 5 of this weekend's games have already been postponed or canceled. 4 of those games are in the Southeastern Conference. That includes the matchup between LSU and Alabama in the SEC. In each case, positive COVID-19 tests left rosters depleted, so they don't have a lot of available players. And just within the last 2 hours, the Big Ten announced Saturday's game between Maryland and Ohio State. That's been canceled because of a spike in cases within the Maryland team. And Maryland has now paused all football activities. That game will not be made up.